In this video, we're going to look at the area of parallelograms and also the area of a triangle. And so there's two important formulas here. For the area of a parallelogram, the formula is A is equal to base times height. And it's important that the height is not the height of the slant, but the height is the height if you were standing on top of the parallelogram and dropped something straight down. This is very similar to the area of a rectangular or square formula, which you can see with this parallelogram, that if you cut this triangle and then moved it over here, then you would have a rectangle. So you can see that this would be gone, and you can see that you really just have a rectangle that's kind of tipped on its side a little bit, or the top is pushed over. So that's why the formulas are so similar. The key though is to remember that the height is not the slant height, but the height if you were to stand on top of the parallelogram and drop something straight down. So it's this height here. And the area for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And your base would be one whole side of the triangle, and the height once again would be how high if you sit at the highest point on the triangle and drop something straight down. Another key with this is that the heights should be perpendicular with the base. So you can see those two right angles. That's a good way to decipher what the height is and what the base is. It's also important to know that the base doesn't have to be the bottom. If this was turned, the base could be over here or here. Just the height would have to change. So as long as the base and height are perpendicular, the base could be any side. So let's look at a couple examples. We want to find the area and perimeter of the given squares. And so in a square, we know some different properties. We know that all squares are the same. All sides of the square are congruent. And so the area, we can do base times height, or for a square, we can just do one side length squared. And I get 8 times 8, which is 64 inches squared. And then perimeter is the distance you would have to walk if you were to walk all the way around the outside of the square. So you just add up all the edges for perimeter. So it'd be 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, or 8 times 4, which is 32 inches. For a square, we know we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And so if this is 4 square root of 2, then that means this side is 4, and all the sides are 4. Because to get back to that side, I divide by the square root of 2. So the area would be base times height, which is 4 times 4, or you can square a side length on a square, and you get 16, we'll call it units squared. And then perimeter, which we use capital P for, would just be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, or also 16 units. Notice that perimeter is in units, or in this case inches, and then area is in 16 units squared, or square units, and inches squared. So units are important here. Area is always in units squared, and perimeter is just in units. For a rectangle, we know some properties. We know this side is 6 and this side is 4. And to find the area, we do base times height. So I do 6 times 4, which is 24 units squared. Perimeter, we add up all the sides. So we just do 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4. And you get 20 units. Also, make sure as you're going, you're pushing pause on the video and trying to work these out on your own, and then coming back to them and checking your work. So now we have a couple examples of a triangle and parallelogram. So once again, push pause and solve these on your own. For the first one, the area is 1/2 base times height, and work to memorize that equation or formula. So the base, if I identify 21 as the base, then the height has to be perpendicular to that, so the height would be 8. And so I can say 1/2 times 21 times 8 for the area, which gives me an area of 84. And we'll just say units squared. And then perimeter is if you add up all the sides. So this would be all these green sides here. 10 plus 17 plus 21 would be your perimeter. So that would be 48. And we'll just say units because it's perimeter, so it's not squared. And on number 5, we want to find the area of the perimeter of the given parallelogram. Make sure you do, for the area, you do base times height. Make sure you identify the right base and the right height. So if I'm going to use 30 for the base, then my perpendicular side to that is the height. So it'd be 30 times 17. Which is 510 square units. And then perimeter would be the distance all the way around. In a parallelogram, we know that opposite sides are congruent. And so I can do 30 plus 30 plus 20 plus 20, which gives me a perimeter of 100 units. Now there are kind of different formulas for perimeter that some people use. You can do like 2 times A plus 2 times B for rectangle and perimeter, but I think the general form of just saying perimeter is adding up all the side lengths is better. It gives you one less thing to memorize. So take a minute and see if you can find the area of the shaded region. So on number 6, we're going to use this strategy where we've split this into two different parts. So I have this green rectangle, and then we'll say this red triangle. And so on the rectangle, I have, we'll call it A1, and that's equal to base times height, which is 5 times 12, which is 60 units squared. And we'll call the triangle A2. Well, A2 is equal to 1/2 base times height. We have to find the base, but if this is 12, then this is also 12. And then the perpendicular side is 3. So I know I can do 1/2 times 12 times 3 to get 18 units squared. And then I want the total. So I need to add those together, and we'll call that a tot, or a total, is 60 plus 18, which is 78 square units, or units squared. On number 7, I have a square, and then I'm taking out this triangle. So I'm going to find the area of this entire green square, and then subtract the area of this red triangle, and that will leave me what's left in the shaded region. So area of a square, we'll call it A1, is equal to base times height, or 12 times 12, or 12 squared. And it's 144 units squared. And then A2, which is the area of this triangle, would be 1/2 base times height, which would be 48 divided by 2, which is 24 units squared. And so my total area of the shaded region would be 144 minus 24, which is 120 units. And it's also squared. since it's an area. And that's the end of 11.1. Good luck with the problems involving areas of parallelograms and also triangles.